Zachary John Thayer, Baron of Essex by birthright, Joe Robert Ford's great-grandson. In the view of the state, federal identification number 4318190, PCL 2709136. In the view of a complantory application, I invoke the Tucker Act in compliance to the right of due process and that of counsel. Upon model assessment 283 invokes the regulatory right of the state, and in view of the office of the 38th library is filing based on negligence. In the view of New York v. Curve, I ask that the state appellate boards identify constant muon ratio volume energy. We'll identify that in the view of the state, instead of it be state taxes, revenue, publicly traded, applications of process efficiencies, as what I will call an Ashcroft v. Ioquel, and symbolic asymmetries and mandrums. In the view of the state, 5 U.S.C. Preliminary coefficients of 5 U.S.C. Article 3 under Title 6 is identified. We will invoke Title 5, complementary procedures. In view of New York pistol and rifle, in view of the Fifth Amendment, I, Zachary John Thayer, based on UN Order 71269, UN Order 8206, UN Order 8653, and UN Order 8658, chose to acknowledge through cooperational agreement to the United Nations in view of the King of Macedonia, Fiera Chesnia, and the delegation of the 45th President based on civil service requirement and enactment, and led to what is known as the House impeachment trial at the time of concern, also dubbed the Durbin Files. In the view of the state, under FCC v. McConnell and Cruz v. the U.S., we begin subliminary movement justifying Trump v. Hawaii. In the view of the state, I am identifying under Executive Order 13654 in requirements. In the view of the New York appellate under New York 5 via the state's employment and pension board, and view of New York employment, I am identifying based on service requestment. And this is our video 1. In view of Trump view of the Water Resource Board, we are in complementary procedures based on Executive Order 13910, Executive Order 13970, and Executive Order 14660. In view of the state, I'd like complementary mandarins under Executive Order 11971. This changes the applications based on the state requirement, Wolf v. the U.S., H.R. 1083, H.R. 1086, SB 901, Lisa Murkowski, Senator Taylor, Tillis, Senator Manchin, you are, and Senator Cohen, you are in Collins, you are invoked against the state based on the argument of the Secretary of National Security. In view of the state, the Colorado River Basin, based on the fire in Denver, may that have been wondered as a Syrian cyanide and was requested based on military procedure under U.S. Brooklyn Naval Yard under OER. In the view of the state, I am in Boyd v. Thayer, I am the Baron of Essex by birthright. In Burdick v. the U.S., I identify as contractual clause against the state based on dual sovereignty. In Ashcroft v. Ioquel, I am complementary and filing in multi-appellate jurisdiction, Richard Seaboard, Robert Shaw Jonker, Elaine Kaplan, Elaine Cannon, and berril Howell. You will move against the state and the state of New York and the appellate board. And the view of the state, federal identification number in U.S. v. Census is 4318190. And in view of the 38th library, he is a stupid, excuse me. In the view of hate speech, and the right to counsel, U.S. v. Navy, is identified. And I wish to call upon the National Secretary of Intelligence based on model efficiencies. In Ashcroft v. Iowa, I move against the Vice President in open exploration as assistant to homicide and assistant to capital murder based on sending the cell phones at the time of the president to the COVID czar nephew, Bradley Henry Preston, interim president of Germany, the Boris Yeltsin video where they confirm it, and the failure of the state based on open discovery to match passports or solidify the rest of the video. In the view of the state, instead of the monetary application of going for public, OKTA, v. the U.S. DoorDash, v. the U.S. Home Depot, v. Zachary Thayer, Landmark, v. the U.S. In the view of the C, we are in compliantary negligence based on requestment in Cohen v. the U.S. under Escobar. In the view of the state, under Grinco, I, Zachary John Thayer, the Baron of Essex by birthright, in view of Roche Pharmaceutical, Parago Pharmaceutical, and Pfizer Pharmaceutical swear in against Grinco based on biotime and the Moderna. We have buy rights in the Moderna at $45 to $65, and the movement to Jessica Wall as the CEO in view of the Chicago promise is authorized. Karen Lucio, Anthony Fanucci, Jerome Powell, Admiral Volinick, you are fraudulent loan agents against the state. And in view of Nathaniel Michael Presley Gorsuch Williams, I confirm your Senate appropriation and House appropriations confirmation hearing based on the filing of this application. Right of counsel is viewed as the ethnic and Trump v. the U.S., known as Amy Comer Barrett, Judy, and Mark and Judy's niece. In view of the state, I don't define we. In view of expropriation to trade association based on chronological abstraction. In the view of the state, Attorney General Letitia James does not understand that. In view of Fernando Trust and say the DJT incorporation based on the wonderment of the Syria and tied to the COO in Syria based on what is known as the Pakistani Missile Summit. Please show that the video of Mr. Yeltsin as well as my brothers in view of the Biden family is identified. In view of the New York pistol and rifle based on New York via the pension plan function of Y of Y, I'm asking an IPO assessment function is valid. In the view of the state, this will be known as Grinco, Grninko, and as well as Hydrocore International. F of X shows the valuation. And Trump v. the University, and then Jason Dalton v. the U.S., Michigan v. the EPA, Sullivan v. the U.S., and Rapano v. the U.S. I have a valuation of a corporation by the fraudulent loan agent Amy Comer Barrett at $8 to $12 billion, 165 with venture capital funding at $97.50 per share. There's 2.5 billion shares of Hydrocore International issued. Grinco is currently valued at $17.2 billion with a 22.6 upon the antitrust. Berril, Howell, we are in the abstractual view of the state defined by Karen Lucio's movement and present-day Vega. 17.2 billion is confirmed based on the ratio of what is known as the Oakland Promise. Currently, DNA is being traded at $1.84. Buy right agreements are at $226, $384, and I move against the Y Incubator, Start Garden, and TEDx based on the valuation at the time of Dean Spindler, U of M, the Dean of Pittsburgh University's Chemical Biological, Dean Gublish of MIT, based on the classes. Vincent Rancet Yale and Amy Rosgren, NYU University, and William and Mary. Based on gradient 1 of 1, Y is seen as the value to IPO based on the OMEX NASDAQ, the validation of the underwriting of the corporate filers. Mu1 is negative to delta. Delta is Y, value of the gradient, present day value analysis, abstractional min coefficient based on min prime. Executive order shows the issue with census of the U.S. based on partisan politics, where Y equals J of X, value assessment, day-to-day, cost of living, image, thought process, pre and post fire, issue with interim president of the United States based on NAPA v. the U.S., cost of living, day-to-day management, uses of fund, and what Ms. Berril will commonly call in the view to Roe versus Wade, Nevada corporations, based on transfetal emotional development, based on historical husbandaries. In view of the state, Grinco, I, Zachary John, the Division of Biotime, and Moderna moves against the Grinco valuation at full application at $17.2 billion, more appropriately at $22.6 billion. That is currently my underwriting, and I file against the board of directors based on what is known as the Oakland Promise. In view of the Oakland Promise, 50 million shares will be issued in Hydrocor International based on the standard deviation, an OMEX, a NASDAQ filing at 50 million with a 1090 split to the board of directors. 1090 shows Class B and open float validity based on SPAC filing. At that application, that value is 2.6 to $6.2 billion with 4.5 confirmed based on Dalton v. the U.S., Michigan v. the EPA, and Onisfor v. 3 Mile Island. Compliantary procedures, Howell is identified in appellate court based on the NYSE, justifying federal validity. Upon video 2, you'll have compliantary procedure based on employment wonderment to statisticianal application. I, Zachary John Thayer, the Baron of Essex by birthright, swears in with 1 master's degree, 6 bachelor's, 12 patents, a notary, and a guard card working on the notary in the view of at present. I need 6 more classes. I will have 5 master's degrees, 2 honorary PhDs, 14 bachelor's degrees, 3 publicly traded companies, totaling a personal net worth of $13.8 to $17.2 billion before 40 years old. Based on statistical application, I'm qualified to be a postdoctoral student and probably in my life a dean of the university. In the view of the state, I do not understand Deputy Undersecretary of Interior, Secretary of North Korea, in the view of Joseph Robin Biden, the Secretary of Education, but more properly, in view of Kevin James's executive order and redactment analysis, the wonderment to the Secretary of Macedonia in my lifetime. And I move against the state